Hi guys, welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from Germany. Today is Sunday the 18th of March 2018. I'm so glad to be talking to you guys today to talk about some knitting, our knit-alongs, give away a prize for our Hearts and Heels cow, and just generally yarny things. So if you're watching for the very first time, I really appreciate everyone who takes the time to check out my podcast, and if you're coming back, thank you ever so much. I really appreciate you guys as well. So with the intro out of the way, first of all, I'm already hyperventilating and getting crazy hot and overheating because I'm wearing all the yarny things. So I'll try to get through the admin stuff somewhat quickly, but we do have a Ravelry group on Ravelry called the Happy Knitting Podcast Group, and that's where you can find all the knit-alongs and all kinds of fun yarny threads. We currently have one knit-along going and one just ended, which was the Hearts and Heels knit-along. That was a knit-along to knit a Valentine's themed pair of socks. And I have drawn the winner, and the winner is number 35 in the FO thread, who is Steffi J, and that is Stephanie from New Hampshire. So congratulations to you. Stephanie, you have won two things. Lots of people participated, so I decided to kind of up the prize game a little bit. So first of all, you will get this beautiful bag from Lamy Projects. I've talked about these bags before and I use mine all the time. And to go with your bag, you will also receive a set of mini skeins from Holland Handmade, who is of course Erin, who also has the Holland Handmade podcast and has recently gotten back into yarn dyeing. So I think this is a very fun prize package. Please do message me as soon as possible on Ravelry with your address and your full name. And you can find me on Ravelry as Wupfi, which is Wuepfi. And as soon as I get your address, I will send this out straight to the winner. So congrats again, and thanks to both Lamy Projects and Erin of Holland Handmade who donated these prizes. So that is out of the way, and like I said, we have a new knit-along, which is of course our Sockblankathon. So I talked about this last episode briefly. I love sock blanks, and it seems a lot of you guys do too, so we have decided, or we have started a new knit-along to knit anything out of a sock blank. So you don't have to knit socks out of a sock blank, you can also use it as a part of a shawl or a sweater, or I don't really care, as long as it uses at least 50 grams of a sock blank. And that sock blank can be DK weight, it can be sock weight, it can be single-stranded, double-stranded, I don't mind. So I was really excited to see how many of you already joined in the chatter and how many actually even posted with the hashtag Sockblankathon on Instagram. For that, I haven't really sorted out prizes yet. I have a few things in my prize basket, and as usual, if anyone wants to donate a prize, just get in touch with me. But we will figure that out. I am kind of thinking the end date might be we started on March 15th, we might run it for 2 months, so until May 15th. But I'm not completely decided yet, so we'll just see how that goes. So yeah, that is it for admin stuff, I believe. So let's jump into yarny things and finished objects, which are kind of the elephant in the room right now. And oh my gosh, you guys, I'm already so hot. First of all, let us start with my sweater, which is of course the Traysta sweater by Jennifer Steingrass. It's a quite popular pattern at the moment. I modified mine quite a bit. I knit my sweater out of Letlopi yarn for the very first time. All the colorways are in my project page because I don't remember the numbers. But as you can see, I have only used 3 colors, and the sweater is actually a 4-color sweater. So I did adjust quite a bit. And also the color work yoke actually kind of goes on longer. But my gauge was off, like way off, especially my row gauge, but also my stitch gauge. So I modified this thing quite a bit. Essentially, I just used the instructions for the yoke and then did my own thing, as I tend to do these days. So this sweater is done. I absolutely love it. I'll try to stand up without killing myself with the microphone cord, but you can see it's actually relatively fitted. I did some waist shaping up here. I did full-length sleeves. I did a little color work motif on the arms, and then did the rib on both the bottom and on my sleeves in the contrasting color. Besides that, I think it fits perfectly well. I really love the fit. Like I said, this thing is ridiculously warm, so I'm not sure how much wear I'm going to get out of it now. But I'm saying this as it is actually snowing outside in March, so who knows. I've actually started wearing this as well, and lots of people have been asking, is the yarn scratchy? Well, yes. The short answer is yes. It is a 100% Icelandic wool, and that is what it feels like. There's nothing wrong with that. That is how that kind of yarn just generally is. So I don't mind it at all. I think it feels really great. I love the wooliness of it. It is very sort of hairy. If maybe I can show you. It has a halo to it, but it does scratch a little bit. So I think I don't mind too much, but if you're sensitive, then do keep that in mind, because I'm not a very sensitive person. I mostly notice it scratching in the back of my neck, even though I am wearing a shirt underneath, so I'm not sure what that is all about. But I love the sweater nevertheless. I love it a lot. And yeah, I'm really, really happy to have knit it. I think I knit it in like 3 or 4 weeks, so it went really quickly, because obviously the yarn is quite thick. I pretty much used the needle sizes recommended. I think I used a 4.5mm needle, or just whatever is in the pattern. So I would definitely recommend the pattern. The designer, Jennifer, she has so many beautiful patterns. I think this won't be my last one of hers. And that is pretty much all I have to say about this. Let me have some coffee first. I had so much coffee this weekend, but oh well. I just drove for 2.5 hours, so I think I'm allowed a coffee. Anyways, the next finished object that you can see, of course, is my hat that I am wearing. And you can't see the pom pom because I'm too close to the camera, but I love this hat. I talked about the yarn last week when I was actually sent it by Daniel of Große Wolle, who is a German, that's a German shop. He sells 100% German-made merino yarn, so it's very local, very sort of ethically and regionally produced, which I love. I talked about it in detail in the last episode, so I won't go into too much detail today, but I wanted to use the yarn, and now I have crazy hat hair. I wanted to try some of the yarn that he has sent me, so this is the hat that I knit. He sent me 2 different yarn weights. I'm going to get it wrong once again, but I think this one had 215 meters per 100 grams. So what is that? Is that a DK weight, I think? Yeah, should be a DK. And I decided to, first of all, I wanted to knit a cabled hat, but all the cabling and knitting on tight needles and stuff really hurt my hands. So I ripped back, and instead I knit what resembles a violet waffles hat on Ravelry, which is a free pattern, so I'm not giving anything away. It is essentially the same pattern that you use for the blueberry waffle socks. And I just used the stitch pattern, so I did a 2x2 brim. It was originally just a normal, quite long brim, but then the hat turned too slouchy for me, so I just went back in and sewed down the brim, so now I have a double brim. I think I cast on something like 90 stitches, something like that, 88 maybe. And I just knit the texture until I got sick of it, and then I decreased and I put a fluffy pom-pom on it. So not that much to tell you guys about it, except I really love it. I knit this within like 2 days, I think. And I used Mina's trick of putting a button on the inside of the hat, and then I just tied the pom-pom to the button. So if I do want to wash this, I can then just take off the pom-pom. Not sure if I'll ever do that, but I really like it, and I really like the fit of it as well. And the yarn is just, I really enjoy the yarn. It is sort of rustic, but it isn't scratchy. It's definitely less scratchy than the Latlopia, I would say. So you can feel that it's not a superwash yarn, and that it comes from sheep. It's actually a sheepy yarn, but it doesn't feel too rusty, and also it doesn't smell like sheep. It actually smells very neutral, so I like sheepy yarns, but sometimes the smell gets to me. And you can see the colors, they're sort of marled, and they're really beautiful. So overall, I am super happy with this hat. I think I'm going to wear it a ton. And yeah, it was really fun making it as well. So I think it fits perfectly. I like it when my hat goes really pretty properly into my face. But you can imagine I had like maybe 2 more inches of rib at the bottom, and then I had to like make it all slouchy, and I didn't like it. So that is why I essentially shortened the brim by turning it into a double brim. So yeah, those are my 2 first finished objects. This one I knit on 4mm needles for the entire thing, by the way. I am now going to take off some clothes because I am overheating, like I said, and I will be back with my other finished objects because yes, I have 2 more. This is apparently the finished objects show. So I'm back, but I still have crazy hat hair, so you'll just have to excuse that for now. Also, taking off the sweater after wearing a black t-shirt underneath reminded me of the fact that the lead lopi yarn does shed quite a bit. So I tend to have lead lopi hairs everywhere, also on my black chair, which I used to work, and I was sitting on it when I was wearing the sweater before. So that's maybe something to keep in mind, but that totally doesn't detract from the yarn at all. I think it is still a beautiful yarn, but maybe something to consider if you guys are very, very specific about that. So yeah, oh my gosh, I'm out of breath. I don't really know why. But let's keep talking about some more finished objects. First of all, one that I am so happy to have done is these socks for Kai, which he lovingly calls his Ripley socks. Ripley because the colorway is called Alien, and I'm sure you all know the movies, which we all love, at least I do. Anyways, I'm just rambling about movies. What is going on? Maybe too much coffee, maybe not enough coffee, I'm not quite sure. The yarn is by a German indie dyer who I think most of you might know. It's Das Mondschaf. I really like her yarn. I talked about that quite a few times before because it is a very, very soft merino nylon sock yarn. It's in her Pegasus base, and the colorway, like I said, is called Alien. So Kai ordered this for himself actually because apparently he is yarn crazy like me. And I knit him a pair of plain vanilla socks. So I did 68 stitches over 2.25mm US size 1 needles with a garter stitch fish lips kiss heel with Mina of the Knitting Expat with her heel flap, mini heel flap adjustment. And they turned out really well. They're super soft, and I really enjoy working with this yarn base of Das Mondschaf. I think her name is Sabrina as well. So very happy to have these done, and now that I've shown these to you, Kai can actually wear them. And then, this is kind of ridiculous. My last finished object is another pair of socks, and that is these ones, and I am so excited about these, you guys. First of all, let's talk about the yarn, which I think is showing up a lot better than it did last week. The colorway is, what is the colorway? Oh my god. You guys. Anyways, I think, okay, I remember now. The yarn is by Yarny Love UK, who is of course a UK-based indie dyer, who I found out through Instagram about, and I really like her yarn. It's the first time that I'm trying it. I'm using her merino nylon sock base, and the colorway is Teal Grunge. She has a lot of these grungy colorways that have like brown and black speckles, and I think they're really, really fun. The pattern that I've used is a free pattern on knitty.com, and it's called the Fruit Loop Socks. Fruit being spelled with a double O, which confused me. And it is just a very simple but effective combination of a faux cable and a proper cable. And it creates a really fun texture. I think it's really, really pretty, and I also do love how it turned out with the yarn. So as you can see, I did the pattern all around the leg, and then obviously only on the top of the feet. Again, you can see my, oh no, I didn't do a mini heel flap adjustment. I just did a normal fish lips kiss heel on these ones, and I really, really like how these turned out. I have put one on a sock blocker and one without, so you can see the difference, how the pattern looks. It only really shows up once it's stretched out over a sock blocker or, of course, your feet. But without a sock blocker, You can see it has quite a bit of stretch in it, which is really, really good for gift socks especially. But, you know, the pearls kind of disappear. So I thought that was quite interesting, and yeah, I really, really love the yarn as well. I don't know what it is about this base, but it felt really nice and luxurious, but still sturdy, and I really enjoyed it. So these are my Fruit Loop socks. I knit these on 2.25 millimeter, and I think either 65 or 63 stitches, because the pattern just requires a sort of unusual amount of stitches. But they fit really, really well, and I do love them. So, that is actually it for finished objects, and I've talked for like 15 minutes already. That's crazy. I will say, in terms of works in progress, I only will show you once again my socks, because I have picked up my Damiaka Lopa sweater, but I've knit like 2 inches of stockinette on the body, so what's the point? I'm kind of getting sad how little I am working on it, but at the same time I just need to focus, and right now I want to knit all the socks, so there we go. I will try to start with the one sock that you already have seen before, which is of course not this one, but this one. This one I showed in the last podcast because I had cast these on the train to Vienna, no, not to Vienna, to Salzburg last weekend. And it is a pair of Felici socks. I'm actually not sure how much progress I have made since last time, but oh well. And this is a pair of Felici socks. So the yarn that I'm using is Knit Picks Felici. I'm sure most of you have heard of this yarn before. And the colorway is Cheshire Grin. And I think it's a really, really beautiful and fun colorway. I'm still working on the first sock, sadly, and you can still see where I knit the heel after having a couple of cocktails and getting a weird strap, which we won't talk about anymore, and I am ready to start the toe. So the first sock is almost done. I try to get it done today and then get the second one cast on. I'm really enjoying this yarn, and I talked about before how I love Felici for the colors, but the yarn is a little bit too soft for me, and so it tends to wear out quite quickly, which I think is sad. But for this particular skein, I'm finding that the twist is a little bit higher. I'm not sure if they changed anything, or maybe it's just a change in quality or whatever. But I'm really specifically enjoying this yarn, and yeah, so that's pretty much it. Just a plain vanilla sock with a garter stitch fish lips heel. So yeah, I should really work on these, but yeah, whatever. Instead of working on these, I cast on 2 more sock projects. I talk about this one first. This was a sort of just random sock cast on that I did before we went away for the weekend. We just came back from visiting my family, and I wanted some plain vanilla knitting, and yes, I could have just knit on these, but I wanted to knit on something new. So I cast on some yarn that I've been wanting to cast on for a while, and that is a sock set by Giddy Yarns, who is Helen, and she also has a podcast. And I keep collecting her yarn, but not really knitting with it. So this is Giddy Yarns. She's a UK-based indie dyer, and I got her sock set in the 11 colorway, which is of course Stranger Things themed, and that already sold me because I love Stranger Things. So in the sock set you get the main color, a 50 gram skein of the main color, as well as a 20 gram mini. And I hope you can tell if you've watched the show, it is very, very 11. I totally love it. So I have decided to knit a pair of vanilla socks, and I'm knitting them 2 at a time. What's the word? Cuff down. I know that for sock sets, because you have a smaller amount of yarn for the main colors, it would make so much sense to knit toe up, but I just prefer cuff down because I have never found a toe up method of casting off that is as nice as my cast on with a rib is if I knit cuff down. Oh, that was really confusing. Anyways, I'm knitting these cuff down. I guess you don't really care why. And this is where I am, so I think I should put in the heel pretty soon. I'm planning to do contrasting heels and toes. And obviously I don't want to run out of my main color, but I think I should be fine. And oh my gosh, I love these socks so much. So I think I knit most of the calf before we got there, and then last night we were just hanging out with my family and possibly having a glass of wine, and I just knit and knit and knit, and I really love these. I'm not sure if it's showing up. The blue is obviously blue, but what may show up sort of as a white color is actually a very, very light pink. That of course goes with the coordinating mini, so I'm really, really excited about these. And I talked about Helen's yarns quite a few times before, I think. I really love her dyeing, I really love her base, and I especially just the way that this is not really pooling, but rather micro striping really, really appeals to me. So yeah, very, very happy with these. Yeah. And then, of course, you might be asking, what about the Sockblankathon? And of course, I cast on a pair of socks with a sock blank for that. And I decided to go with the craziest sock blank that I have in my stash. And I am ridiculously excited about this. I am hoping it will show up on the camera. But I am knitting with stranded dye wax, who is of course Amy, in her Piñata colorway. So this is Amy's logo. I'm sure most of you know her podcast as well, Stranded Dye Wax. She's based in the UK. And this is her sock blank, which is a superwash merino nylon blend in the Piñata colorway. And isn't this just crazy neon? If it's looking really bright, that is because it actually is crazy bright. Possibly one of the brightest yarns I've ever seen and owned. I love the sock blank, and of course I cast on a pair of socks. So this is what it's looking like so far, and oh my gosh, I'm so sick of higher cables. Isn't this just the most amazing thing you've ever seen? I don't know, I just love this. So I am of course knitting a plain vanilla sock, which is what I like to do with my sock blanks. So I did, I think, 22 rounds of 2x2 rib and then just stockinette. And I'm trying to knit these quite long because I just want to make the most out of my sock blank, which is what I tend to do with sock blank socks anyways. I tend to knit them quite long and I love it. It's showing up a little bit lighter than it actually is. This is like pink with neon speckles and it's kind of intense, but like I said, I love it. If you've never knit with a sock blank, you might not know this, but the yarn is quite crinkly when it comes from the blank, so that results in somewhat crinkly looking socks. But once you wash these, or once I will wash these and put them on a sock blocker, or just generally stretch them out a little bit, they will just turn into normal socks. But you can see what the yarn is looking like. And yeah. So of course these will be for me. I did 64 stitches on a US size 1 needle and I love these so much. This is bringing me so much happiness. And yeah, just looking at it once makes me want to work on it some more. So that is it for my sock blank socks. So please, if you haven't already joined in, but you might want to knit with a sock blank, maybe you haven't done it before, maybe you really already know that you love it. You have plenty of time even to maybe order one, or you can dye one. I know at least 2 people are dyeing their own sock blanks, which is crazy exciting. I don't know why I'm saying I wish I could do that, but I could. I'm not sure why I don't. But anyways, that is really great. So please join in, feel free anytime. And even if you don't finish, which you still could because you have plenty of time, you can always just join in the chatter thread and I might give away some prizes for that as well. So yeah, that is it for my knitting. And I feel like I've waffled on quite a bit, but oh well. So in terms of acquisitions, my acquisitions are actually almost non-existent. I don't know why. I feel like I've ordered quite a few things, but I'm all confused these days, you guys. I'll talk about that more later, but basically just don't ask me anything because I probably get it wrong. Anyways, the one thing that I did order and that did show up was related to my hat, which of course now have thrown ways away, so I can't reach that. But like as you may have seen, it had a pom pom on it. A faux fur pom pom, I should say. So I for that hat, I just decided I really need a pom-pom, and so I ordered a couple from a shop in Munich, I believe. They're on Davanda. This is their card. They sell mostly sewing related stuff, so if you're into that, check it out. I'm not into sewing, so I can't really comment. But they had pom-poms and they had a sale. So I picked up 3 pom-poms. I picked up the gray one, which I really right now can't reach or can't be bothered to stop the recording and all that just for that. But I ordered 3 pom-poms. I ordered a white one, a black one, and the gray one, which is the 3 kinds that they had. And yeah, this is what they look like. It's my first time actually having or ordering or working with pom-poms that aren't made out of yarn. And I have mixed feelings. I think they look fine, so they work really well for the hat, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're fluffy and they look like a pom-pom should. For me personally, I guess they're maybe not made for putting on hats, but they're a little bit too heavy, and they're basically like a pretty tough sort of ball on the inside, and then just the outside is quite fluffy, so I don't know, it seems a little bit wobbly to me. So they're perfectly fine. I'm not sure if I would order them again, but there's nothing wrong with them. I'm not really sure what their intended use is anyways, but this is the only thing I got this week, and now I can make some more hats, which is great because I have one yarn that I really want to turn into a hat pretty soon. A yarn that Kai got me for Christmas. It's sort of like a dark purple speckly color, and I think that would look amazing with this white pom-pom. So yeah, very happy about these. They seem to kind of be losing some fluff all over my hat before and now over my desk, so not sure if that happens with all pom-poms, but as far as these go, they do what they're supposed to do, so yeah, that is it. And you guys, that is it in terms of yarny content. So if you're only here for that, then thank you so much for watching. I will be back next week. And if you're here to listen to some crazy women talk about crazy things, then you can feel free to stick around. I'm not really sure what to tell you guys though. I used to have this entire segment called Life in General, where I waffled on about what's been happening, and then I kind of stopped, and now I'm kind of, sometimes I waffle on about my life and sometimes I don't. But essentially not that much has happened recently. I'm still working a ton, which is fun but also quite exhausting and is definitely cutting into my knitting time compared to my previous job. But having said that, I'm still very, very much happy with my job. So nothing wrong on that front besides me being very tired at the end of every day. What was really exciting is that obviously I worked until Friday, and then on Saturday morning Kai and we drove up to my family's house, which is about 2 hours from Munich. And first of all, it was really fun to hang out with my family. My grandpa had his 89th birthday. We did miss the party, but we managed to catch up with him and my grandma, and I always really love seeing them. And yeah, there's just a special attachment, of course, also because my grandma is the one who started all my crafty obsession. She's the one who taught me how to knit, and it's always really, really fun seeing them. What else? So we just hung out with my family, and what was really, really exciting is we picked up our new car. So we had been waiting for that for a couple of months, and of course having a new car is really exciting. So that all worked out perfectly well. It was quite funny because in Germany, if you don't know, we have winter tires and summer tires, because we do, at least where I live, we get quite a lot of snow. And I didn't order any winter tires because, well, end of March should be fine, right? So kind of in the last minute, we decided to just get them and put them on just in case. And I was kind of not sure if that was the right decision. But as it turned out, this morning we had about 15 centimeters or 6 inches of snow. And it was like heavy snow, and no one was prepared for it because I don't know why. So this morning I had to basically just find my car underneath all the snow, and it was really fun because all the streets were still completely covered and everyone was just sliding about, and very, very happy to have the winter tires now, and also it was very fun. So now we're back home. It is about 4 p.m. I think right now. I really need to do some proper like grown-up chore things, which I'm not excited about. But then I do plan on just knitting my heart out and ignoring the fact that tomorrow will be Monday. I have a quite exhausting week ahead, including only really getting back from work on Saturday, so I'm not sure how that is going to affect the podcast, but it's probably going to affect the knitting very, very sadly. But yeah, besides that, we are finally watching Gone Girl, the movie, which I'm really excited about. I know there was a big hype about it when it came out, and I read the book back then. But shame on me, something I never really ever do is I actually didn't finish the book. I really quite liked the book, but then if you watch the movie or seen the book, read the book, you know that at some point you get what's happening. So then I actually stopped reading, which is really bad, but that means that now I'm really enjoying the movie because I don't actually know how exactly it will end. So yeah, that is pretty much it in terms of my ramblings. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything, but I don't think there's anything more I need to talk about. If you may remember, I did my commercial sock review for a while, sock yarn review, and I kind of stopped that because I ran out of sock yarn to talk about. Because I like to review yarns that I've actually, of course, knit with and actually have worn the socks, or Kai has worn the socks. But a lot of commercial sock yarn socks I do give away, so not really sure what's going to happen with that. But if you have any sort of alternative ideas, do let me know. Talking about socks, I do have something really nice and nitty to talk to you guys about. This is something I wanted to mention for a while, just because I thought it was so cute. You might know, or if you're a knitter, I don't know about you guys, but of course you always, or the temptation is always there to knit for other people. So my gift knitting is usually pretty limited to Kai, who receives probably like 80% of the things that I knit that are not for myself. And my sisters are very knit-worthy. My mom and my dad are kind of knit-worthy, but not super interested, which is fine. And I have recently started, recently, in the last couple of years, I should say, I have given a couple of pairs of socks also to Kai's mom and his sister, and they both really, really appreciate them. But generally, I still kind of always feel a little bit hesitant about giving knitwear to other people who might not necessarily think or love it as much as I do and possibly think it's weird. So I try not to force my knitting on other people too much. But over Christmas, I was, of course, knitting socks when we were visiting with Kai's parents, and Kai's dad actually told me, or kind of on the side let me know, that he would really like a pair of socks as well. So I actually gifted him a pair of socks for his birthday and gave them to him when they visited about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I can't remember now. And it was so cute. I kind of gave them to him very carefully, saying, well, he said, you mentioned you wanted some socks before, but don't feel you have to wear them if you don't like them. And he put them on straight away, and then the next day he actually sent me an email with a photo of him wearing them and immediately ordered his second pair, saying, these are fine. For the next pair, could you please make them half a size bigger? And I thought that was just so cute and really showed how knit-worthy he is. And yeah, that was just really cute and warmed my heart. And I'm sure if you're a knitter, you feel the same way about these things. So yeah, it's always nice to know people that appreciate your knitting, and it also makes gift giving a lot easier if you knit quite a few socks like I do. So I'll just put another pair aside for him at some point, and then I'll have a Christmas gift all ready for him. So yeah, that is my knitting story. Pretty random, but maybe it entertained you. And with that, I think I'm going to end the podcast. So, like I said, once again, if you're the winner, Steffi J, please do get in touch with me via Ravelry, and I will send the prize straight out to you. Besides that, of course, you guys know how much I love and appreciate your comments on each video, or if you participate in the Ravelry group, or tag me in your Sockblankathon video, Sockblankathon photos on Instagram. And apparently I cannot talk anymore, which is not surprising because I've been talking all week for my job. I've been talking all weekend with my family, so yeah, whatever. We'll just ignore that. And thank you guys for watching. Have a great next week, hopefully with less snow than we have right here. I hope you have some yarn to play with, lots of fun with your knitting, with your crocheting, with your crafting, and I will see you next week. Happy knitting! Bye!